Here we go, picking up where we left off 2 weeks ago. I'm still Andy, he's still Tracy. Let's get this party going. Thank you to our listeners that were patient with us the last time he was on the show, and for those of you guys that listened after the fact. Now we're going to pick up the second half of the interview. All right, Tracy, we started talking about where you came from and where you were going. What questions do you have for me? Where is Clutterless going? Where are you going, and what can I support you with?
Yeah. So I think we was talking about. You asked me at one point in the last part where you was asking me what my goal was for this year, and I was telling you I'd
Mhm.
love to get to like five demos a month, 5 house demolitions a month, or structure demolitions a month.
Yep.
Um, and I guess the question that that I have for you is, am I pigeonholing myself if I'm just going for those? If I'm just targeting that one target of 5 a month, because the 5 a month provides enough money revenue to where I can be comfortable and grow. So, but am
Mhm.
I making a mistake by overly diving in, like tripling down on just finding demolitions? And I'm okay with going statewide if that's what it needs to be. I mean, we have done
Mhm.
jobs 2 hours away, hour away, often. And it's just South Carolina ain't a real big area. I mean, like there ain't a ton of houses and demolition and stuff going on in one area, so you kind of got to go around. Uh, so am I making a mistake by doing that?
Well, two things. First off, we don't make mistakes; we make choices. Right? So a mistake is you're anticipating failure. So we're making a choice. Let's anticipate success. Actually, I'll tell you three things. Second thing, be the best at something. I'd rather say I would like it makes more sense to me to expand geographically than to expand the scope of your services, right? Because if you're going to be all things to all people in your local town, that's all you're ever going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Third thing is, and we did this year. So this year, 2 years ago, we used to say, okay, we're going to do 60% revenue in residential, and of that 60, right, is going to be 50%. We'll say 45% junk removal, 10% deconstruction, 5% moving. Well, then we didn't hit our moving number one month, and we're like, well, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, and then it was like, oh, we gotta go chase some deconstruction jobs to make sure we hit our number. So I said, fuck it. No, we're gonna do 60% residential junk removal. Anything else we get is gravy, right? And as long as my residential number hits, I don't really care where it comes from. So that's the thing. When you double down all your effort towards, this structural removal, whether, it's sheds, outbuildings, whole houses, trailers, if you got something that's close to it that looks like it, you still take it. Right? If someone's like, hey, will you just clean out my house? Yeah, we still do that. This is our main focus. One deviation. Okay, we'll do it. Now, we're not going to drive 2 hours to go do a junk removal job because that's two deviations. I'll do a local junk removal job and I'll drive 2 hours to do my main focus, which is tearing down houses. Or I'll do an interior demo locally because it's still one deviation from what I do best versus I'm going to do an interior demolition not locally. That's the problem people have. I've talked about that. Like with our business, we were guilty of it. We're like, oh, we do residential junk removal. Well, we can do residential deconstruction and we can do commercial junk removal. All good. As soon as we started doing commercial deconstruction, then we started getting ourselves a little fuckered up because now we're two deviations away from what we do
Mm-hmm.
best. So it's kind of like, there's a guy I met through Jobber. Fucking shout out Jobber. Gave me a fucking Yeti. No big deal. Uh Jobber, and he did gutter cleaning. Gutter cleaning turned into Christmas lights. So it's like, let's think about gutter cleaning. It's local, it's houses, it's ladders. Where do you
Where
hang
the gutters
Christmas
are.
lights? On the
Yeah.
gutters. So you take the leaves out, you put the lights on. Okay, one deviation. He wasn't like, oh, I'm doing gutter cleaning. Let me get into lawn mowing and landscaping. In the book Traction, it talks about that exact example. A guy that was a landscaper all of a sudden turned into doing gutters. Well, now he has to have a ladder. Well, now he has to have insurance. Now he has to train guys to do right. And now he's taking down trees because it's like, well, you already got a ladder. Now I'm gonna trade. All of a sudden, he ain't cutting grass no more or
Mm-hmm.
making money because he's got too many deviations away. So for you, you can focus your business, right, and your goal on those 5 houses a month, your marketing effort, your tools and equipment all go towards those 5 houses a month. And then the deviations, little bit of deviation, cool. I'm all about that. I also like the fact that in 2.5 years of doing this, earlier, just before this, I talked to Casey
Mhm.
Walsh, and it's the yes, no, yes methodology of success. At first, you want to earn the right to say yes to everybody for everything because you don't know shit, right? And then you earn the right to say no. So no turns into no, we're not going to travel to do interior junk removal,
Mhm.
whatever, right? The no. And then it turns into a yes and wherein you let your customers define who
Mhm.
you are. So you can say, hey, yes, I can do your local, like I used to paint a house. Yes, I can paint your house. Absolutely. Andy can go to Home Depot, get a couple gallons of plate and slap it on, right? Yes, and yes, and I can, or yes, I can paint your house, and I'm going to overcharge you. It's going to look like shit. You're not going to be
Mhm.
happy,
Yeah, yeah, and you're
right? So with you can say, this is how you fire. Like, remember you had like 5 or 6
yeah.
contractors, and a couple of them flaked out for whatever
Mhm.
reason. So you can also say, if you have someone that, for example, if you have someone that doesn't pay you or doesn't pay you on time, you say, hey, yeah, I can do that job for you, and I require 100%
Mhm.
deposit. I will not start the job until you pay me for the job. Like, well, we never do that. Okay, well, those are my conditions. You never said no to
Mhm.
them. You let them fire
Yeah,
themselves. So for you, the yes, and this is what we do.
yeah.
Or and this is I'm gonna charge you out of area fee. We have some customer be like, oh, we're gonna like, yeah, we can service the area, and it's gonna be an extra $150, $75 each way for us to do an out of area fee. And they're like, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, and that's what we did on the ones that we when we go out of town like that. We just add a little extra for the out of town fee, and it's really not that big of a deal. So I don't have no problem with going.
No,
Like I personally don't have a problem with going an hour or 2 hours anywhere around my circle. You make a radius of 2 hours around me. I don't have a problem doing that, and we could do those, and we could do
there you
those
go.
for like competitive rates too. So I don't got no problem with it.
So now you charge. So now you tell people this is what we do. We tear down, boom, boom, boom. That's all
Yeah.
we do. Now, if someone calls because they want to deviate a little bit, then you can say
Yes.
yes and. The key though is now because you're doing such a niche
Mhm.
thing, like Google AdWords, you can spend more money on the niche thing because when you spend money on junk removal, you're competing with
Mhm.
everybody. But when you spend now, you can spend more money, or you can spend less money, and you can spend more wide because now you can advertise an hour away and say, "Yeah, we do it." And if they're like, "Wait, you're willing to drive an hour?" Be like, "Yeah, we're the best
Mhm.
around. There's no one better than us within 2 hours." Oh shit, they must be the best. Oh, if as soon as you can tell someone, oh, other customers have hired us to drive 2 hours because we were better than anything else they could have found
Mhm.
locally. Ooh, that's fucking
Yeah.
interesting. Now, you ain't gonna be the best at doing junk
Mhm.
removal because tons of people do junk removal. I guarantee you there's someone better than junk removal at you in
Mm.
2 hours. However, no one's gonna be better than you, right? Tearing down houses is when you're advertising, nobody else
Mhm.
is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The goal is to not even be the best. Let's rephrase it. The goal is not to be the best choice. The goal is to be the only choice.
Yeah, I like that, man. And there's not a lot. Like if you get well here in South Carolina, if you get on the internet and start looking around, there is companies that do that, but they not a lot really advertise for residential. Usually they do residential and commercial, and they go South Carolina,
Yep.
Florida, and Georgia, like they go in that one little line of states there. Um,
Yep.
but
And when they're that big, now it's like, hey, they're a big
yeah, they're
company.
all
They're
big.
chasing. They're big. If you want a local
Yeah,
guy, you
yeah,
when you call Clutterless, you
yeah,
get Tracy. You
yeah,
get the owner. You're not talking to project manager. You're not talking to fucking dispatcher. You're talking to me, the guy doing
yeah,
the work. So then you just lean in on that,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
Like whoever you are, that's your competitive
Yes,
advantage. And if you're going to be small, hey, we're small. We're
yeah,
tidy. We're if you're going to be big, hey, we got
yeah,
scope and scale. What marketing is merely highlighting how you're different. So double down on how you're
yeah.
different and use that to get your competitive
Cool,
advantage.
man. Love it. I love that. That's
You
good
know,
stuff. Do I
yeah.
do need
Go
to get
ahead.
some Google AdWords going. I've done some SEO work on my website and stuff like that. And we're ranking for keywords, but our Google business page, the
Yeah.
local one, that's the one where I put a lot of work into. And if you search
Good.
what is it, mobile home demolitions near me here, then we're like 1 and 2 on the Google business page.
So
So that's good.
just double down on that. Mobile home, correct.
Yeah.
Mobile home
Yeah.
demo. Done. And now
Yeah.
blast that. Find ways. Talk to Lewis from an SEO standpoint. Talk to Lewis. Maybe he can coach you a little
Cool.
bit. I don't know shit about actually Max, this guy in up there in Maryland. He just texted me asking me about Google AdWords. I got to figure. There's a guy. Let me figure out who I'm using for Google. Taylor, go get Crumb real quick, please. Thank you. I can like there's a crack in the door so I can see Taylor. Go grab Crumb real quick. This is we ain't even live, so it don't matter. But even if it was live, I don't give a shit. We do real time
We're
crumb.
real
So
people,
I'm not
man.
gonna be like, oh, I'll get it back to you. I'm real as the day is long, Jack. Actually, you know what? I'm doing a I'm man, I'm getting to Nashville this year and Miami. I'm not getting anywhere near the
That's
Carolinas
you
for
did
any
well when
speaking
you go
gigs
to
or
Charlotte.
traveling.
If you ever end up in Charlotte, please let me know. I'll go out there.
I was in Charlotte a year ago, 2 years
Yeah,
ago. A little easier, yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you end up back there again, let
Um,
me know.
oh, how far are you from Charlotte?
Oh, 2 hours.
All right. Atomize. That's what we're using for so you're asking Google AdWords and so is Max Atomize.
Atomize.
There we go. There we go. See, I'm solving all the world's problems. The same question literally within 30 seconds of each other. Um
I'm gonna. I'll
anyhow,
put
there
that
we
in
go.
real quick too.
Yeah, and for the listeners here, absolutely figure out what you're great at and double down on it. Like you look at us here at Camel Crew Responsible Junk Removal, we push what's up. Oh, Grizzly Junk Pros is the owner of Atomize. There we go. Hashtag shout out Grizzly Junk Pros. Not paying me. Didn't even know who they were. I knew we were using somebody recommended from Barry over at 505 Junk Removal up there in Vancouver, right in the backyard of Big Blue. And the Bolt Accelerator, Barry and his team over at the Bolt Accelerator have excelled our business over the last 5 months as we've scaled as we rocket from $2 million to $5 million in junk removal. There's your plug. See, actually, Barry can cut that out. Actually, Taylor, cut that out and this part I'm talking. Like, there's my cheese stick radio voice. Highly recommend Barry. Again, doesn't pay me. I like these
Yeah,
people. I'm out here
yeah.
promoting Grizzly Adams, junk removal, fucking, and Google Ads. Grizzly Adams, junk removal and ads, otherwise known as Atomize. Give him a call. All right, cheese dick aside. That was my filibuster. While you were writing things down, I
Oh,
filibustered. That's what I do. Right? We put the insert the
and
commercials
Andy,
in.
you
Also, this
haven't
episode.
looked into
Also,
being a politician.
this is. No, I can't lie that long for that many people. The challenge I have with being a politician is, I don't want to talk to people that don't want to talk to
Yeah,
me. Right? Like my podcast. Right? Like, so I was talking to Scott Walker. Scott Walker was the governor here in Wisconsin, and he passed a very controversial piece of legislation when he was in office, essentially breaking up the unions. So it was what's it called? Act 10, whatever. Basically, what was it? Right to work. But basically, we're a right to work state to
yep.
start with, and he basically said even unions, but he broke it up at the municipal unions. So like you could be a firefighter and not be in the union, or you can be college professor, whatever. And as a taxpayer, loved it because we were going to go broke like Illinois had we keep paying out these pensions. And I'm a very anti-union person. I will shit. Y'all want to have an argument? Let's have an argument. I work for unions, and I've also been a supervisor at a union shop where we were non-union. I'm very much against unions. That's me. Here we go. I said it. I'll argue with me later. Anyways, I ran into Scott. I knew Scott from doing veteran things locally, and I ran into Scott a couple years, 2 years after he lost the election. And at some event, I go, man, what's it like not being the government? He goes, Andy. He goes, I don't know why I stuck around politicians for so long, or politics for so long, because he was a county exec and then he was the governor. He goes, now when I go places, he goes, they pay me, and they want to hear what I got to say. I go, that sounds awesome. So he's like, I work a tenth as long, and I'm so much happier because the governor, you're spending more time arguing with people. The people that like you and support you already like you and support you. You're spending all your time with the people that don't like you and don't support you, convincing them that you're not the devil.
Yeah,
And I'm a freedom guy. I'm a huge fan of freedom. I like to, the four freedoms: freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of purpose, freedom of relationship. Politicians, they ain't got no freedom, right? You're working for the people. There's no doubt about it. The idea behind politicians is that you work for the people. They are a civil
that's
servant.
the idea.
Now, the Nancy Pelosi's, yeah. Now, the Nancy Pelosi of the world that took $200 million from the American taxpayers the last 50 years in some way, shape, or form, they ain't serving the people, right? I'm a selfish son of a bitch. I like my time. I like my freedoms. I am not willing to give up the freedom and the life I have to serve
It's
the
a dirt.
public. I've done 20 years.
It's a dirty game too.
Yeah, I've done 20 years in the military. But that's the other thing, because the chances of me staying righteous,
Hmm. Yeah,
right? I ain't
yeah.
taking that risk. I know who I am, right? That's it. And I've been in the military 20 years. I'm all about serving. I love serving my
Hmm.
community. Same reason I'm not a nonprofit. I serve my community my own damn way. If I'd have been a nonprofit and all of a sudden you're telling me what I can and can't do, what I can and can't say, how I can and cannot make money, I'm not interested.
Dude, I think that's why
There we
I
go.
like being an entrepreneur the most is the freedom. The freedom. It's hard, dude. It's hard. It's not like it's easy. It's hard as hell, but man, you're free. Freedom ain't easy.
Free. That's it. Freedom ain't it ain't. So I've been dating this woman for a little bit. I've known her for years. We started dating recently, and she's an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. So we've always known each other and pushed each other. And she still has a job. She's still got a full-time job, and she's doing the thing. And she's like, man, you just come and go as you please. I'm like, oh, I'm unemployable. She goes, I want to be unemployable so bad. Right. And it takes a lot of work to not have a job. It takes a lot of work to be unemployable and pay your bills. You can be unemployable and broke. That ain't take shit.
Yeah.
Right. To be unemployable and live a good life, that's the freedom I desire. So for me, even with Casey's episode, this last episode I did with Casey, which actually this is going to come up before Casey's. So I'm basically, pre-prepping people for the Casey episode, right? We talked about what's your purpose. And my purpose is freedom. I like to have the freedom to do my keynote speaking. I like the freedom to have this podcast. I like the freedom to experiment with the junk and wool company I have versus hoarding all the money and say, no, I'm just going to do all the work and keep all the money. And no, I'm all about giving ownership and opportunity to other people because I value the freedom, more than the money. And even in the book, 10X is easier than 2X, they talk about the 4 freedoms, and he's only quoting somebody else about it. That's where I picked it up, though. So the 4 freedoms: freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of purpose, freedom of relationship. So it's freedom of money, not from money. It's not money. It's freedom of money. What is the amount of money that you need to live the life you want to live? So for me, I almost never look at my bank accounts because I'm not like, oh, I want to grow my bank account. I look at my life. Am I living a good life? Absolutely. Right? Now, I look at my numbers. I look at my metrics. I look at my bank accounts systematically. I used to look at my bank accounts every single day. And then I was so focused on the money, I was tripping over the life I was living. Now I live the life and the money follows.
Yeah. I like that, man. That's the way to go about it. It's like if you focus on doing the right things and everything like that, the bank account take care of itself in the long run.
100%.
If you're doing the right things.
The thing, it's a marathon,
is.
right? When you're running a marathon, you ain't trying to sprint and catch
No.
everybody. You just got to find your pace, right? And you're right. It's easier, absolutely. It is easier to make the money now. It is simple to focus on the future. And when you focus on the future, you end up making the better choices. Because again, easy come, easy go. When you live an easy life now, it's going to be hard later. You spend all your money now, you're going to be, right when you're 60, 70, you ain't got no money. Well, you've been living on easy street. Versus, hey, I'm going to do the simple thing now. I'm going to put the hours in. I'm going to put the time in. I'm going to invest in myself. Look at you. It'd have been easy for you to stay there at Michelin, right? Easy job. You come, you go, you get paid. It was simple for you to say, you know what? I'm betting on myself. I'm betting on myself.
I'll tell you, Andy, even if this don't work out, but it will, because I'm gonna keep pushing. But even if this don't work out, all the stuff that I've learned about myself, that I've learned in general over the past 2 years, oh man, there's nothing. You can't put a price on that. You can't.
Nope.
And I'm
you done
interested
bought
to
a
see
college
where it goes.
education
Like
10
that was
times
the
over.
first 2 years. I'm interested to see what it's like at year 4, year 5, year 10. I'd love to see what it becomes. Just continue to get my butt whipped here. It's been so February for us, man. But I got like 12 jobs out. They're probably all gonna hit at once. I think we talked about this before.
It feast and famine, baby.
Yeah.
It's the peaks and the valley of the mountains, right? You willing to climb a mountain? You got to be willing to go down in the valley, right? And sometimes you go down the valley and eat shit, so long as you got another mountain to climb.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
I mean,
that's right. That's true. But I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for nothing, though, dude. You can't put a price tag on that. I've learned so much. You learn so much about yourself. I think I heard a talker one time say that entrepreneurship is like the ultimate self-discovery. I think that's true. You learn a whole lot about yourself.
The thing about it, conflict, there's that old adage like conflict, builds character. It does not build character, right? It's kind of like when you're in the gym. When you're pushing weight, you're not building muscle. It's after you push the weight, you break the fibers down and then they build. What happens with conflict is in conflict, you show character. Just like when you get to the weight room, you're only pushing as much as you can push. Now, next week, you might be able to push more because you broke down the fibers last week. It's no different than your character. When conflict hits, your true character shows up. And that's why I watch myself. How do I handle it? I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and she was talking about chaos. I said, ooh, chaos is my comfort, baby. Right? I love me some chaos. The more fucked up it is, the more I rise to the occasion. That's where I like to be. I like chaos because I love displaying the depths of what I got, the heights of my education and my knowledge. That's why I love me some conflict. Entrepreneurship is nothing but conflict. That's all it is. Nothing but. And every day you get your ass whooped, you break down them muscle fibers, and you get a little bit stronger, right? The things that bothered me 6 months ago don't bother me today. The things that would have broke me 6 years ago, fuck, all right, whatever. Right? You good. And then when you develop those muscles in entrepreneurship, it transfers to other aspects of life. All of a sudden, you got better personal relationships. You're dating better. You're spending your personal money better. You're spending your personal time better, all because entrepreneurship built all these muscles. It's like, oh shit, I'm more confident. I'm more capable than I've ever been because of entrepreneurship.
I've noticed that too, man. It's like you get so good at like solving problems that whenever a problem arises, it's like not the business. It's just super easy. It's just you do this and you do this, and then that'll be okay. Now, like you said, dude, there's things that happened just in the past 6 months with us that would have made me probably quit 2 years ago. But see, I've noticed that too. It's like you said, you build that muscle. That's true. You do build that muscle. So that's good to know too, going in too. So it's good to know for people that haven't been tested like that yet. So they're going to get that test and just know that they need to get through it because there's going to be another one later down the road anyway. But this one's going to make you stronger to handle the bigger one down the road, like you said. But yeah, man.
No, I love it.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing. We're gonna wrap up this. This is the second part of episode 144. We'll figure out the naming convention and the release date. Taylor's telling me it's not gonna come out. I'm gonna tell Taylor otherwise. No big deal. All right. So the plan is this will come out next week. Actually, with Crumb's episode, that's when it'll come out. So we'll release the second half because the first half wasn't great. Now Taylor's texting me. See, this is how we do things. Even whether we're live or not live, we shoot it like it's live. This is how we're doing it. So Tracy, I appreciate the fact that we were able to wrap up this conversation, really hit home. I love what you said there. That's my top takeaway is, right, what would have broke me like 2 years ago, you embraced 6 months ago and don't even bother you today. And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur, is constantly working the muscles. What you got for a top takeaway for our two-parter episode?
That one, man. It's like whenever you was just saying that just now, how you laid it out where you build a muscle just like you do in the gym. I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, yeah, there was stuff that's been happening here the past few months that I literally 2 years ago, I've been like, screw this, I'm going back to work at Michelin. So that's my top takeaway too, man. That's a good one, dude. I really didn't point it out in my mind. That was good. That was good.
Well, that's why we talk about it, right? And I love your perspective, because your perspective, again, when one person teaches, two people learn, and that's why I love doing this podcast and what we do. So, hey, Tracy, appreciate you. We'll have you back on in about 6 months or a year. Have you back on and see where you're at. And I want to hear when you get those months when you start hitting them $5 a month, because keep your eye on that prize and you'll get there,
dude. Yes, sir. Thank you, Andy.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Tracy Taylor, I'm Andy. Another great episode of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. Clutterless junk removal down there in South Carolina. If you're down in that region, hit up Tracy, and maybe he'll teach you how to demo houses. I don't know. I'm just doing random plugs here today. You want to be a guest on the Trash Talk Business Podcast like Tracy, go to trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Apply to be a guest. Tell us what value you can bring to this amazing junk removal community. Thank you for joining us. I'm Andy. He's Tracy. We got Taylor. We will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Bye now.